Welcome, everyone. I'm Tisha,
I'm Christina.
and this is our podcast, Silent Issues. Today, we will discuss toxic relationships.
There are many different types of toxic relationships, like with family, friends, work, school, and relationships.
Toxic family relationships are harder to avoid and are usually caused by dysfunction within the family.
Today, we will discuss our personal experiences with toxic relationships.
So, I know, Christina, for me, grew up in a very dysfunctional house. I've talked about this numerous times with people. My father was a drug addict. Thankfully, my mother wasn't. No, my father's not anymore, and we're in a good space now. But growing up like that, you are so used to dysfunction all the time that you don't realize that's a toxic relationship. You can't do nothing
Yeah,
about it. That's your family. With dealing with that, I learned that I wanted to be a person that always wants to save people. Like I wanted to save my dad. So I always tried to save everyone else. And I think that's why I got into the professions I'm in. And I feel like for yourself, you want to go into nursing, and that's kind of the same thing. You want
yeah.
to get into that profession to save, to help people. We're always out there trying to help because we deal with dysfunction. So, is there any particular ones that you want to talk about?
I think it's really just growing up. I feel like I was very spoiled or like have a lot, so I don't know what it's like to have like skip a meal or how some people don't have as much as I do. And when I see them, I realize how much I have because I'll like forget how much I have and then complain about something stupid and then realize other people don't have as much as I do and then I feel bad
Okay.
and stuff like that.
And that kind of makes you want to save and help people,
Yeah, it
right?
makes me wanna.
Do you think that you get friends, like some of your friends that you choose tend to be people that you want to help and save, or do you not even realize that? Or thinking about it now, is this something you're like, oh, wow, I do that and didn't realize it?
I don't really think so. I feel like me and my friends are on the same level. Like some of my friends want to help people too, but some of them want to go into different professions. Some of them we really talk about it's not about the money, it's about what your heart's set at. Like some people want to do stuff because they enjoy it, and some people are like, "Oh, I just want to have money."
Now, do you think in your household, like, because you're still young, so you might
Yeah.
not realize this yet? Because I know growing up, like I said, to me, even though I knew it wasn't normal, it was my normal. So, like, do you feel like there's things like you have a single parent mom, so that household that's a little dysfunctional too because you don't have the dad. So, do you find that sometimes you crave a male figure? It may not, and I'm not saying in a bad way. I'm saying like your uncles or your grandfather or things like that, like you crave their attention, or your male cousins or even guy friends, or you don't like them because you don't have a male in your life like that.
I feel like I've never really noticed without my father being there because I feel like it's always been just me and my mom, and I haven't really noticed a big difference. But when I do see big families, I'm like, wow, I could be me. But then I realize I'm not really sad or anything. I just think like, wow, I actually am like he's missing, and I just sometimes I notice.
Okay. I know for my sons, like, they didn't really, well, my older one more missed it. I think he still struggles with that issue. And my younger one, he's just, I think he was kind of angry, that they didn't have their father in their life, but they did have a stepdad. But at the same time, their stepdad is not like,
It's not the same.
yeah, it's not the same, and it's funny because me growing up, I did have my dad, but I remember not wanting to have my dad because I felt like, well, this is not healthy. This is not normal. Like I can't have friends over. I can't do anything because this man is doing drugs and I'll be embarrassed and just all the things that went with it. So it's funny because I know my cousins who didn't have dads, they wanted their dad,
Yeah.
and here I was the opposite, like,
Eating your dad and wanting him
yeah,
to.
I'm like, why don't they separate? Why are we suffering through this? But going off of that, what I realize is as an adult, as you don't realize it, you're doing the same thing when you're a teenager and stuff, but as an adult you start to realize, I'm in relationships based on my family relationships. Those toxic relationships that you're in, that most of us find ourselves in, whether it's with our family, whether it's with our friends or significant others, or just in the workplace. A lot of those relationships are based on your family life. Because, like, for me, I notice, like I said, I always want to help people. I always want to save people. And when I hear about some of my students being in horrible homes and things like that, I'm always trying to think of ways I can help them. I can save them because I don't want them to grow up the way I did. But I know I can't. I can't save the world.
Yeah,
And I continue to
try.
continue to try, but I continue also to put myself in, I want to say, situations where I'm always trying to help and
yeah.
figure out. And even with some of my friends, like, I feel like I'm just their counselor. I'm not
You listen to them and they
right,
talk to you.
right, but I don't get that
You
back.
don't have anyone. Yeah.
Right, I don't get that back. I'm always the person people go to. And so even though we don't realize, that's a toxic relationship. If it's one-sided and the person's taking, and you're not getting anything in return from it,
It's not good.
right, it's not good. It's a toxic relationship. And so that leads to, you feeling,
Problems and
it leads to problems. It leads to you feeling like left out and alone in a situation.
and I feel like, sorry, with that too with my mom, I feel like I always want to help her. Like so she recently just bought an AC because she didn't have one before, and I felt like I knew she was hot, and I didn't realize that until she was like, I'm like sweating over here. I was like, I'm in my room's cold, and then she was like, I don't have an AC. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. And she could have used my AC and took it for herself, but she gave it to me, so I didn't have to suffer. But now I feel bad, and I'm constantly going in there like, are you okay? Are you hot? And then she's like, yeah, and I feel bad. I think
And I think part of that too is your mother and your mother. Like, you want to help her because in a lot of ways you feel, I know this because I've been around you since a little
yeah,
girl, you almost feel like her equal. Not that you think you're her equal, but you kind of like always have been there to help your mom because it's just you two.
yeah.
So being it's just you two, you always feel like you got to help her. And I feel like that has in a lot of ways prevented you from making real friendships too, because I think you don't want to leave your mom alone. You don't want her to ever feel like she doesn't have someone.
I feel like she might feel lonely one day. I feel like I do go out, but I feel bad like leaving her alone, and I feel like I should stay home to comfort her sometimes. But then she's like, just go out, and she doesn't seem to care. And
Well, I think as a mom, she probably wants you to go out
yeah,
and it's not that she doesn't care, but she knows that she got those experiences. You need those experiences. That's what life is. But that's it. See, that's starting that toxic relationship where I think when you are in a relationship with someone that you're going to feel very motherly and nurturing and want to take care of them. And I know I do the same thing. I mean, you see it. I do the same thing. I'm always wanting to take care of the whole family. I'm the one
yeah,
that wants to keep everybody together and do things. And you're always saying, Titi, I'm going to follow these traditions when
yeah.
you
When
don't do them no more. So you too, you think the same way. And we just want to keep our family together and we want to keep our friends together and keep those relationships. But sometimes they're not healthy for us. I mean, even with family, sometimes we have to cut off family. That's not healthy. And it's sad and we don't want to, but sometimes we have to. Like, you not having your dad, your mother, I'm sure, made a decision. I mean, I'm sure your dad, he played a factor in this. He didn't, participate, whatever. But I'm saying the safety, the health reasons for you not to have him like in and out of your life. That's
yeah,
not good neither. People don't realize that. Like,
packing every weekend to go to each parent's house is like traumatizing for some kids.
it is, but not even just that. I'm not even talking about that. It is because a lot of kids I know complain about that. But then it becomes their normal. But what I'm talking about is if dad says, I'm coming for you this weekend and doesn't show up.
Yeah,
A lot of kids experience that where their dads call them and say, oh, I'm coming, and they never show up. And then the kids are left with this emptiness of feeling rejected. And that's a horrible feeling to feel like you're not wanted. And going off of that, it made me think about like some of my students and they'll talk about relationships they're in. And in those relationships, they'll be with a person that doesn't want them to be in public with them. Or it says, don't tell people we're together. That's not healthy, guys. That's a toxic relationship. If a person is not proud to walk around with you, if a person is saying, don't tell people we're together, or they make promises to you, they're going to spend time with you, they're going to do things, and then they bail on you or find an excuse to blame you for the situation of why they don't want to see you. That's toxic, and you don't need that. And the problem is, so many of us accept it because we're trying to make up for something in our life. Like, again, I'm going to go back to not having your dad in your house. A lot of females I know, growing up, as well as students I deal with, they didn't have their dads. And because they didn't have their dads, they're always searching for that validation from a relationship. They're always searching for either a man in their life to validate them, or if they're not into guys and they're into girls, they might be searching for that female to validate them. And it's not just females that go through that. Males go through it too when they don't have that bond with their mom, or even if they have a bond and they're looking for a woman to be just like their mom, that sometimes triggers relationship issues too. But a lot of times I see it. Females are really stressing making a relationship work that's not going to work. I've been there. I think all my friends have been there. For example, we're all my friends, my friend group growing up, we're all teen moms, and all of us, none of us are with our kid's father, and it's not because we didn't want to be, because in our minds we thought it was forever. Obviously now as adults we know it wasn't meant to be, and it was a good thing. Like those were good, things that we got out of it. But at the same time, we were searching for something that we didn't have,
something to fill what you were missing.
Yeah, and you say that, and it's funny because when I found out I was pregnant in high school, I had a teacher, a male teacher, by the way, say to me, he goes, "Are you having this baby because you want to be loved or love something like that?" He said, and I looked at him like he was crazy.
Yeah.
But now as an adult, I realized it was because I didn't feel loved growing up. I didn't know what it was like to have that emotional bond with someone. So I wanted that with, and
fresh start.
Yeah. So I wanted to have a kid so that I can feel that love and that connection. And I will just say, guys, it doesn't work. So don't go having kids just to make that happen, because it doesn't work. Because guess what? Those kids become adults. They become their own people, and you're still left feeling neglected and alone. So don't do it. I'm not saying don't have kids, but don't have kids as a teen, because you're just limiting yourself. I was able to be very successful because I'm a stubborn person, but not everybody has that chance. So I want to put that out there. I am not endorsing teen pregnancy.
Yeah. And to go off that too, I feel like I say sorry because I don't know how to start the conversation and I don't know how to fix it, and I just want to fix it. And then to go off that also about toxic friendships, how I say sorry, I feel like it's just to cover up what happened, like, because I don't know how to just jump back into it and stuff. Because, like, sometimes it can be a situation where I don't think I'm in the wrong, and then they think I'm in the wrong, and I'm like, I don't think I really did anything, so I just say sorry to make up for it, and then we go on.
And that's the problem. Sometimes people just don't address the real issue. If you don't address it, it's the elephant in the room. So, and you have that problem, and you're just like moving on, but the relationship is still kind of messed up. And I definitely deal with that a lot in all my relationships. I don't address it the way I should. And it's funny because I'm a person that, is very blunt and says what I have to say. Yet when it comes to arguing, I want to say, or fighting, I don't like doing that.
No,
and yeah,
it's a lot.
It is. It drains you. And a lot of times it's not worth it. You don't get anything from it. So I just tend to like kind of push it under the rug and pretend like it didn't happen. But those are not healthy for us. Oh. And we just stay in them and we repeat these cycles over and over. And when I'm doing that and you're seeing that, you're following, and then the next generation follows and the next generation follows. And we have to start learning that we deserve better. We don't have to just take anything and stay in a relationship that's not making you happy. And I think that's the main point, is to understand if you're not getting from that relationship it's same,
not worth it.
Right, the same that you're given, that same energy, it's not worth it. And you need to feel happy in it. Not all the time. No relationship is perfect all the time. But you need to feel happy. And even in workplaces, sometimes the relationships there, they're toxic. Sometimes you can avoid them if you could work by yourself. And sometimes you can't. And if you can't, then maybe you need to look for another job, because you should not be miserable all the time. It just shouldn't happen. So toxic relationships, we need to learn that we are better. We deserve better. We need to want more. And we need to stop repeating the cycle. And it's hard. It's hard. I'm saying that genuinely. It's hard. But, as in life, we need to try. We really need to try. And especially in the areas we can. Friendship, workplaces, school setting, we can kind of avoid, those toxic relationships. But with the relationships, with the significant others, I would say look at it and tell yourself, am I getting what I'm given? Is this person giving me the same respect and love that I'm giving them?
Same effort too.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, guys, I hope you enjoyed our podcast. Thanks for listening. If you have any suggestions or topics, reach out to us at silentissues.com@gmail.com.
Join us next week when we discuss sexuality in general. And we're not saying we're any experts on it, but we're going to talk about it just the same. All right, everyone. Thank you. Bye. Have a good time. Bye-bye.